Hola chicos, ¿se me escucha? A ver si se escucha. Hey Remy,
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, not bad.
Is it nice and sunny there?
It is nice and sunny, but I'm at Le Syndicat, so it's nice and dark and cool, which is pretty nice.
I was actually driving on my way back from Barcelona to the countryside where I live, which is just outside the Barcelona, and I stopped halfway in a lovely little park.
Wow,
So
beautiful. I
yes,
like it. It's
yes,
like we're
yes,
on a date. I really like it. Yeah, very good.
yes, 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 yes. Listen, Remy, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time on this. I'm pretty sure that people will highly appreciate getting to know you a little bit better. The
Un
idea is to
placer.
do, muy bien. The idea is to do kind of a conversation as we are doing
Sure.
right now, more than, a strict interview or a seminar on a specific subject or whatnot.
Sure.
I think it's a good time to have the opportunity through contacts to kind of connect people, and this is one of those opportunities. So what we're going to do, if it's okay with you, is we're going to use the questions mostly as a kind of a guideline, the
Yeah, sure.
question that I sent you before. We might go off topic in some point or not,
Beautiful.
but the idea is that we'll do this, and as we go, I'm gonna have to kindly ask you to bear with me because I'm gonna have to translate at the same time for
Yes,
the
of
people that
course.
we have there. The majority of people here in Spain. Okay, just a second. Chicos, nada, me conocéis, soy Jorge Balbontín. Aquí tenemos a Remy Savage. Remy Savage es un súper buen bartender. Nos va a contar un poco sus inicios, un poco las cosas que le han llevado a solidificar su carrera hasta el momento donde está hoy y contar sus proyectos actuales también. So I was just saying to the people here that you're a great bartender. I had the pleasure to have a few drinks from Johan from the bars that you have worked in, and I always have enjoyed very much. I like the way that you think and you conceptualize your way of bartending, and that the whole idea that today we're gonna just as I explained, get to understand a little bit better where are you coming from, what are you at, and what are you looking forward, kind of thing. So if
Sure.
you can tell us a little bit about your beginnings in hospitality, if you got any education per se, like a bar school or not, or how did you got involved?
Okay. Okay. And just to let you know, someone commented, Kayla commented that I speak Spanish. You don't need to translate for me because I understand Spanish. I can talk, I can speak it. I'm really sorry. I apologize. But you don't need to worry about translating. I think I'd be okay to understand what you're saying.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. My name is Remy. I am French and I'm there in Paris. And I started bartending maybe 12 or 13 years ago in Lyon. So in the south half of France, close to the mountains. And I initially worked in pubs. So I don't have any bartending training. I think I was a bit too young for this era of bartending. And I think at the time when I started, it was either you do flair or you do kind of like, pubs or high volume bars, or in France, of course, you do like bistros or restaurants or brasseries, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For me, I started in pubs because my dad is Irish, and I worked for 5 years in an Irish pub in Lyon that was doing beers and live music and nice food, and I absolutely love it. So I kind of fell in love with the idea of service there, and this was while I was studying philosophy, and then eventually I finished my studies, and I decided to kind of start doing cocktails. So I moved to initially I moved to Oxford in the UK. Then I had a very short stay in Southeast Asia, so I was based in Bangkok, and then moved to Paris at a bar called Little Red Door, where I worked for kind of 5 years, maybe a little less than 5 years. And then I've done 2 years at the Artesian, which is it's a 5-star hotel bar in London. And there, 6 months ago, I've taken over Le Syndicat and La Commune, which are two bars in Paris that are quite unique in the sense that they only focus on French spirits. So we
All
only
right.
serve French booze at Le Syndicat, and yeah, that's kind of it.
Fantastic. And Remy, I guess I guess you kind of explained it already, but the Flair, did you ever went into the Flair arena?
Never. No, I think I bought one of these. Kind of when I stopped working in pubs, I bought one of these bottles. You know, the ones that doesn't break.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I think maybe I did 20 minutes and I threw the bottle on my nose and I kind of hit myself and I was like, okay, this is not where I'm going to, this is
I
not
thought you
where
were
I'm
gonna
going to
say
be
that you
happy.
bought the unbreakable bottle and you actually managed to break it.
I wish. No, I wish. It was just, I remember like practicing and kind of enjoying it actually, because it's a nice, you know, it's just a fun stuff. I really liked,
sure.
you know, at school we had to do like circus as kind of exercise and I really enjoyed it. I just wasn't very talented at it. So I kind of moved on very fast.
I understand. Let me translate for the guys that we
Of
have
course,
there.
yeah.
Chicos, Remy se presenta, Remy Savage, él es nacido en París, pero él realmente es donde se educó de alguna manera en el mundo o donde entró en el mundo de la hospitalidad fue en Lyon, que está relativamente cerca, y dice que, bueno, allí en aquel entonces las posibilidades eran más bien, o te ibas a trabajar a un pub o bistro o más de estilo restaurante, tal y cual, o lo que podías hacer era meterte en el mundo del flair. Entonces, bueno, ahora Remy y yo hacíamos una pequeña broma, le preguntaba si alguna vez había entrado en el mundo del flair, me dijo que una vez practicó durante 20 minutos y se golpeó la nariz y dijo, mejor no voy por este camino, voy por otro. El padre de Remy es irlandés, por lo cual ya había como un entendimiento hacia el mundo de la hospitalidad y además hacia el mundo del pub como tal. Entonces, luego de trabajar allí y enamorarse un poco del concepto de hospitality y de todo lo que esto representa, Remy terminó sus estudios, que estudió... you study philosophy, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Okay. Remy estudió filosofía y luego salió a viajar. Cuando se fue a viajar, pues se fue a Bangkok. What was the name of the place that you work in Bangkok?
I didn't really work. There was a place called Hide and Seek.
Right.
At the time, I think it's still open, which I was kind of working for, and then there was visa issue. But I was kind of doing like, you know, menu helping out, and then did a little bit in like different parts of Thailand actually. So something in
So you didn't went to Thailand for any specific project. You just went to Thailand.
I just went to Thailand. I wanted to work. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and the mother of my daughter worked in the humanitarian sector. So she worked at the time for a company where she could potentially find some work in Bangkok for humanitarian work based in Southeast Asia, but kind of doing the whole of Asia. And I just kind of followed her, hoping to kind of learn a bit about flavors. And I think, all of this fun stuff. Yeah.
Bueno, Remy nos cuenta de que entonces él se fue a viajar y fue a Tailandia. Su mujer tiene una hija pequeña de 4 años ahora y su mujer trabaja en el sector humanitario de ONG probablemente, y que por esa razón ellos les tocó viajar y que tenían la posibilidad de estar ahí en Tailandia. Entonces en Tailandia no estuvo en ningún bar o coctelería específico, sino que trabajó en diferentes lugares alrededor de Tailandia y de Bangkok en particular. De allí se regresa y es donde se hace cargo de Little Red Door, que es un bar que personalmente recomiendo mucho. Si alguien tiene la oportunidad de visitar en algún momento, me parece un bar muy interesante. Yo he tenido la opción de estar allí 2 o 3 veces. Y de allí se mueve al gran proyecto que es el Artisan, que es un 5-star hotel en el Langham, donde, bueno, era un tremendo desafío y él estuvo allí. How long did you stay in Artisan?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, I'll get back to this in just a second. Entonces, se va al Artisan, se hace cargo de este proyecto y ahora se mueve del Artisan, se regresa a París, donde se va a hacer cargo de un proyecto que se llama Le Syndicat, que how many places does Le Syndicat have again?
2 at the moment.
2 places.
Yes, but I'm
What are
joining
they
them.
called?
Le Syndicat
Le Syndicat?
and La Commune.
Okay.
And the idea with joining is that I want to open a bar in France with the team at Le Syndicat. So it's like a joint project to kind of mix both worlds, yes.
Ok. Entonces nos comenta que ahora se va, otra vez regresa a París y se va a un proyecto con la gente del Le Syndicat, que tienen 2 bares en este momento, pero que su prospección es buscar la posibilidad de abrir un tercer bar en conjunto con la gente que ya trabaja en Le Syndicat. Remy, I think it might be a little bit of a cheeky question or a tricky one, but artisan, artisan for the people that they are listening to us right now, it's kind of this big name, big
Yeah.
heavy thing, that they heard so much about it. Not everybody had the opportunity to go to London sometimes, but it's always there, it's always been like a kind of a big name, for the past few years, obviously. And the incredible work that I value that Alex and Simone did at the
Yeah, of
time,
course, yeah.
and the awards and all that kind of thing. I'm not much of an award kind of person myself, but I recognize and I see the value in what they did. What
Yeah,
I
of
liked
course.
the most at the time, it was the fact that, it was fun to go to Artisan, even though that it looks like, man, I'm gonna encounter the queen here. It looks
Yeah, of
so
course.
appropriate and so posh at the same time that I thought, like, even for myself, I felt out of place. But
Yeah.
once you get in, and you go, I like the vibe, and they're treating me very friendly, and everything is cool, and sometimes even
Yeah.
a bit crazy, and whatnot. Did you continue that line of work? Did you establish your own line of work? Was it really tough for you with all, kind of the big shoes, so to speak, that, it was a super award, the bar
Yeah.
that you had to take over, and then it dropped quite a few things. Like I said, to me, awards are, a political thing, but unavoidably, it dropped quite a few numbers in the list of the 50 best.
Of
So
course, yeah.
you had to pick up that project,
Yeah.
and go, right, I'm going to rebuild it. So tell us about that, please.
Well, I think what you say is completely right about the artisan. When, first of all, I think that the bar is very much based on the people inside it, right? I know that for example, at Little Red Door, it was because Little Red Door was quite new, and there was for me, it was the opportunity to do whatever I liked.
Yeah.
And that was very positive.
Your
I think
playground.
it's exactly, yeah, but it's because it didn't have such a strong identity before we started doing, menus and stuff like this that have become kind of a staple of Little Red Door. And even despite the fact that I've left, it still is something. They launched a menu that is absolutely beautiful that they were nice enough to give us one. But we created this identity for Little Red Door, and this was easy because no one knew Little Red Door really. It was already a popular bar. But at the Artisan, I think it's true that the challenge was that Alex and Simone have done such an amazing job for 8 years, I think, or something like I think Alex was there for 8 years. It's like, of course, it was very hard to kind of take the challenge because, I mean, despite the fact that I loved exactly what you said, you went to the Artisan and it was fun and you felt like the contrast was the most amazing thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that afterwards, there was 2 years between Alex and Simone left. And then there's a team that kind of took over that in-between part.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem is, in life in general, it's never really going to work unless you do what you want to do, right? I don't want to join the project now and I have to kind of doing the continuity of what was done before, especially if the identity is so strong, like the one Alex and Simone have done. So do you remember all these, the crazy vessels and the stuff like this? Yeah. This was, of course, something very big. And then, we eventually 2 years later, we're able to launch a menu based on minimalism. So it's like kind of polar opposites. But obviously we had a bit of a kind of a way to go and do this. But it's true that the job of the head bartender of the Artisan job was kind of a job that was a little bit, I don't want to say that no one wanted it, but it was a job where I got 100 messages being like, you'll never be able to do it. Like it's a kind of a,
really?
But I mean, like not 100 messages, but more people always saying, big shoes, a lot of pressure. And it's true that the pressure you only feel because you want to put it on yourself. For me, as you say, what's important for me is to express myself through my job. Yep. So I like whereas the Artisan, Little Red Door, Le Syndicat, of course, you're going to grasp a lot of inspiration from the identity of the bar. But if I have to do the same job as Alex has to do, or as your job, I'm not going to be as good at it. I think the second sure. I kind of do, what I want to do is where the experience is going to become nice for the people.
Fantastic. I think that's a very comprehensive answer. Let me just quickly translate for the guys. Chicos, bueno, la pregunta un poco que le lanzaba a Remy ahora está relacionada con, obviamente, este bar tan reconocido que es el Artisan. El Artisan es un sitio que, bueno, ha ganado muchísimos premios, ha estado muy reconocido durante muchos años, ha estado en el top de la lista de los 50. Más allá de lo que cada uno crea o no crea con respecto a las listas o a los premios, ellos consiguieron algo que fue muy particular. Lo hablábamos ahora con Remy y él también está de acuerdo, decía de que la magia que había conseguido Artisan, ya no solamente Simone Alex, sino que Artisan como tal, era de conseguir de que estabas entrando en un hotel 5 estrellas, gran lujos, súper reconocido en una zona muy pija de Londres, donde ibas allí y era un poco intimidante, ¿no? Te daba una sensación de que era todo un poco muy posh, muy pijo. Y realmente el contraste que te encontrabas al llegar allí era un servicio extremadamente cercano, muy casual, no, ni siquiera había una formalidad en términos de la manera que tenías que estar vestido. Y luego mucho divertimento en el sentido de, oye, vessels o vasos o vasijas que eran súper locos e innovadores, que representaban otras cosas, que igual era un día un florero, otro día era una miniatura de algo, y esto lo hacía como muy diferente a lo que tú te esperabas que iba a suceder en un hotel 5 estrellas. Entonces, mi pregunta hacia Remy es, oye, recoger un proyecto así. Remy entró 2 años después de que Alex y Simone se fueron. Hubo un proceso con otras personas, con otro equipo, un in-between, un poco entre medio de todo esto, y Remy tuvo que recoger este proyecto. Entonces Remy me comentaba de que, bueno, de que mucha gente le puso mensajes diciéndole, Remy, esto es mucha presión, esto, claro, tiene mucho renombre, y si te vas a meter en este proyecto y tal. Y Remy lo que hizo fue plasmar lo que mejor sabe hacer, que es su entendimiento, su concepto de lo que quería, de lo que quería contar él ahora en el nuevo Artisan. Lo llevó incluso a un punto extremo, entre comillas, de hacer lo opuesto. Su primer menú de Artisan hablaba justamente del minimalismo. Y ahora vamos a hablar un poquito más acerca de la manera en que él crea menús y todo esto, pero él dice de que la mejor manera que tienes para expresar quién tú eres es siendo tú mismo, y en hospitalidad esto es clave y es fundamental. Y si tú eres bueno en algo, en este caso en hospitality o bartending o lo que sea, obviamente que la mejor manera que tienes que hacer es poner tu impronta, no solamente ser continuista de lo que te han dejado las personas anteriores. So, I think that takes me a little bit to the next kind of question or area, which is the little that I know of your work, or the times that I had the pleasure to enjoy a drink from either you or somebody in your team, both in Little Red Door and Artisan. I always see that you apply or that you utilize a lot of art. It's an artistic side to the way that you generate the concepts that they eventually become either a drink or either a menu or either anything regarding, what you are doing in a bar, restaurant, etc. That recalls my attention. Now I understand a little bit better. Maybe it's got to do with the fact that that you study philosophy. Maybe I think that kind of is an eye opener, in many different
Yes,
levels.
I agree. Yeah.
But I'd like to know a little bit more. Where is this passion coming from? Is it just a personal thing that you are very much into art? Is it any part of the art specific that you are more interested? Is it paint? I saw you a few days ago doing these homemade painted bottles of the sodas. They
Just
look
to keep
amazing, man. I really
thank
like
you.
it. Yeah, they look
That's to
amazing.
keep my daughter busy.
Great.
I think that you say, "Are you into art?" And the truth is, I don't know anyone that would say, "I am not into art." You cannot be not into art. Art is a
Yeah.
lot more. It speaks to a lot more people than cocktails. And this is
Yeah,
always
for
the thing
sure.
that it's not. I really like my job. I love it. I think making drinks is fun. But I think when we start talking, if I start talking about drinks to anyone in the street, 9 people out of 10, they're going to be bored in 5 seconds. If you start talking about art, it's really interesting because art always refers to each and all of us, humanity, right? It's always about us. And it's the way that you are in a position where you are looking at a piece of art or you're listening to a piece of art and it speaks to you. And I think that is what's really important. If you make a bar for yourself, I think it's never going to work. You forget that people are coming in. You should be able to express yourself two medias that are relevant to everybody. And I think that art is obviously a big part of it. But it's also true. Sorry, am I making sense?
No. I was just thinking. No, I was just thinking. No, but please carry on.
So I think it's true that art is a media, but usually the foundation of the menu are based on philosophical ideas. So it's like, it's again, you went to school in philosophy. You do like philosophy classes.
Mm-hmm.
You remember there's always like a big question, right? You've got 4 hours to answer one big question on whatever, peace and war, love, work, whatever philosophical question you have. And I think that for us, we've approached the menu always the same way. It was always, we start a year with a completely new different topic that is based on one question we are trying to answer via a menu. Mm-hmm. We are using a menu to answer a philosophical question, but the tool that we're using is art because we believe that art is relevant to the people. And it's true that I say we because Anna is connected, and Anna is the bar manager of the Artesian and still works there. And it's true that it's always a collaboration of like different talents. And it's true that, for example, I will be talking a lot about philosophy, but Anna that likes art, she's going to also add a little touch to it. So it's, for me, the important thing is usually philosophy, and art is a way to make it relevant to everybody.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. I think you hit the nail right in the head in the sense of, sorry, it's a truck passing, so it's a little bit noisy.
That's okay.
What I really like and it made me thought about is, how you approach this idea that, art is obviously much more wider and more universal in a way, to,
of course.
to everybody. And it's appealable. The only thing that not worries me, but, I have as a doubt is that when you go, you can talk about art generally. Anybody can talk about art, how they feel touched by any piece of art that they have in front of them. But there is another level when you know what you're talking about, when you can express yourself about that, and that can become sometimes. In art, I consider that can become a little bit more of a elitist in the sense that, not everybody will have the vocabulary or the understanding to talk to a certain level of art. We can all be impressed by art. We can all say, wow, or I like it, or I don't like it. But going to the next level of trying to understand, and take the parts of this piece of art that we are talking or generating, is only less amount of people. You not think that is a challenge at the same time?
No, I think that I think the vocabulary of art is very pretentious. I think that the feeling of the wow it touches all of us. So art doesn't have to be complicated. Art doesn't have to be pretentious, but the feeling that you get when you're looking at something beautiful, this is what's important. Of course, you have someone that smokes a super long cigarette and he's got small glasses. It's like, oh, well, this reminds me of whatever. And it doesn't really matter. What's important is the fact that you're able to, we look at art because we feel human. And that's the most amazing thing. It doesn't have to be intelligent. It's just, wow, I love this. I don't know why. I do believe, though, that it's super interesting to try and understand why you think that this is beautiful. Why do you think that this particularly speaks to you? And that's just out of curiosity. Whatever I do, if I try something, and especially if I try a cocktail, I'm going to try and understand what do I like about it.
Right. I completely agree. I think it's super interesting what you're saying. I think we could talk for a very long time, but I need to translate. Otherwise, it's going to be a conversation just between you and me. Chicos, nada, una pregunta que, bueno, se ha extendido un poco más porque a mí me resulta muy interesante esta parte en particular del trabajo de Remy. Remy, bueno, por una parte por el hecho que estudió filosofía y por quién es él y cómo es él, es una persona que tiene una apreciación hacia el arte, pero tiene una apreciación que me parece muy interesante porque no es pretenciosa en ningún nivel. No se trata de, él me explicaba hace un momento, me decía, en el arte, al final nosotros hacemos arte porque nos queremos sentir humanos, porque somos humanos. Y el arte realmente es un factor que es universal, que nos puede tocar a todos. El hecho de que haya personas con un vocabulario más preciso que puedan decir de que esto pertenece a una sección específica del arte o no, eso lo puede volver un poco elitista, pero el hecho de que todos nos sentimos identificados por el arte, en el sentido de tener ese momento wow, que es la expresión de decir, esto me toca, hay algo de esto que estoy viendo, viviendo, probando, que me toca una parte de mi fibra o de mi corazón o de mi ser, ¿vale? El entendimiento de esto es lo que lleva a Remy a tratar de aplicar esto dentro de sus menús que obviamente dentro de sus menús lo que viven son cócteles. Los cócteles no son otra cosa que pequeñas experiencias líquidas con un tiempo determinado. Si eso al final se consigue hacer de una manera que esté relacionado al arte o a una pregunta o a un concepto en particular, lo que estás haciendo es generar una experiencia artística dentro de un vaso. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it, as I was explaining it to the guys now, is that the bottom line is that what you are making is you are trying to portray a concept, a question, or a subject into a menu, and obviously inside that menu, what it leaves is cocktails. These cocktails are then, small pieces or of pieces of art in a way, because you are trying to touch somebody's feelings, somebody inside to make them feel something, and that has a determined time, when you go and have a cocktail, no? So they're like small pills of art that you are trying to portray inside a menu. Is that around that area?
I would love to say that it is. I think that it would be I don't believe that cocktails can be art. I don't believe that there's enough of a wide variety of expression you can express through cocktails. What I do believe, though, is that what you create is you create a background. When you start talking about art, and when we talk about menu, it's a word that it's got a bad reputation at the moment, but it's like that idea of experience, right? People are scared now to say experience because it sounds too pretentious. But what you're doing when you create, when you put something that you believe is relevant artistically, in the shape of a menu in front of people, and they're already kind of in the background or you would say a paysage, I don't know how to say, that is slightly artistic and that refers to themselves. Then using a cocktail in way to reinforce that feeling, I think is something that we're trying to do.
So it's more of a vehicle to get them to that feeling that is more of
100%,
the...
yes.
Right.
But
right.
I think flavor is always a vehicle. Flavor is always, it's never the end. What you're looking with flavor is always to generate something. Flavor is never a product that has an end. It's only a way to get something. Because at the end of the day, the only thing important in the universe is feelings.
Right. Yes, I agree with that. Fantástico. Bueno, Remy ahora se explayaba un poco más en este respecto. Él dice de que realmente él piensa de que considerar un cóctel una pieza de arte, pues no es lo que él cree, y además que puede ser incluso pretencioso, ¿no? Porque no tiene tal vez todas las facetas necesarias para llegar a ese punto. Lo que él intenta trabajar es dar a un background, que es el concepto, la conceptualización de todo lo que él está haciendo, ¿vale? Y donde el cóctel funciona como un vehículo. Ese vehículo, él lo define muy bien, además, dice de que el sabor, flavor, no es otra cosa que un vehículo, nunca es el final del todo, sino que es un vehículo para transportar emociones, que es lo que al final es lo más importante para él, o en su universo. Dice, para mí en el universo lo más importante es las emociones, los sentimientos o las emociones. Great, Remy, I think it's super interesting. It actually helps me understand better a little bit of your work myself, and that's super cool, man. A couple of things that are a little bit more like random questions, or
okay.
just to get to know. Is it any flavors that you have discovered, let's say in the past couple of years, that they were a little eureka moment for you, that you went, wow, this was not recorded, this was not something that I knew or understood or heard about it, and now I got it, like seeing a new color, it's...
Yes, I think in a way, yes. They are like, if we're talking about ingredients or flavors that come with ingredients, yes. But I think it's really rediscovering basic ingredients is what, like, the process we're all going through. This is not just me, this is everyone, but, now we're getting so much more aware of the products we use that, when I was a kid, I eat strawberries and they're full with water and they have no flavors. But I like the flavor, so it's fine. But now, I go and see this guy that grows strawberries, and it's like they're all ugly and they're all like kind of like this, and you taste the flavor and it's really striking. So I think it's more rediscovering basic flavors that really was like, fuck, that's awesome. Like the potential of flavor of a tomato is fascinating. And it's just trying this, that is. But it's true that there's some flavor. Always when you travel, you get exposed to different kind of new stuff. So I don't know, in Russia, there's like these smoke pears that are really, really interesting. I loved when we worked at
naturally smoke, like when you get them from the tree, they already had that smoky taste.
No. I think they are smoke, like preserved in smoke.
All right, okay.
But the flavor is super cool. We've been playing a lot with roasting, and I work with a guy called Emilio at the Artisan as kind of like my number two.
I know Emilio. Emilio Di
Yes.
Salvo.
Yes.
Yes, I met him.
We were amazing guy.
Super.
But the we worked on a drink called it was the first menu we did was Twist on Classics at the Artisan, and it was an espresso martini, and we played with the roasting level of coffee beans, and he came one day with these like half roasted coffee beans, and he was like, wow, that is the most amazing flavor ever, because it's kind of like peanut butter, but at the same time you do get that background of coffee that is do you understand what I mean by half roasted?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Sometimes I have this face like I'm trying to understand things, but I am actually understanding.
Of course. So I think all of this now with my work, I'm trying to be a lot more precise in flavors. I think when I started cocktails, I'd be looking at the back of the bar and be like, I'm going to put some this, and this, and it will make a great drink. But because we did this menu that only uses 2 ingredients, what we're trying to do is like precision. We're trying to have flavors that are very impactful. So it's like, coffee and cognac, great. Green coffee and cognac, awesome. Palo Santo and whatever. I forgot the citrus we use actually. But it's like 2 combinations of flavor, and then you're trying to be super precise. And I think that this is what discovering whether
by saying 2 combinations. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, please.
By saying 2 combinations of flavor, that doesn't necessarily mean just 2 products, no?
No, half of it means 2 products, but the problem is in terms of structure. If you only have 2 products, you're going to have very repetitive patterns. So when we say 2 flavors, we're allowed to use, for example, water doesn't taste like anything, sugar doesn't taste like anything, salt doesn't taste like anything. If we make a differentiation between flavor and taste, yes, it does taste like anything, but what's the flavor of sugar? Nothing, it's sweet. What's the flavor of salt? Nothing, it's salty. Then you have smoke salt, and then it's like, it is both salty and smoke, but the basic flavor. So this is what we will allowed to use, as well as techniques like, carbonation, distillation, all of this kind of fun stuff. So at the end of the day, you only have 2 ingredients, 2 flavors interacting with each other, but that can be the shape of like, it can be 10 ingredients if it's like salt, sugar, water, alcohol, basic acids that again are just taste but no flavor.
Just 2 little side things just spark in my mind. One thing is that I used to run a competition for the people that I work with in Gin Mare. And in the competition, we said that, your cocktail should not have more than, I think it was 6 ingredients or something like that. Yeah. And I will get thousands of questions, and so many questions from me in terms of, but I'm using a bitter, and my bitter has like 20 ingredients. And I said, look, people will not understand that if they were bringing, for example, their own syrup, and their syrup was made with, I don't know, 2 ingredients plus the sugar plus the water, that didn't count as 6 ingredients already. I was saying to them, look, this is more of a humble advice on don't go crazy and put 25 ingredients. We're telling you to use 6 just to keep it low. This is what we're trying to say.
But I think that also this is like the core message in everything that we're doing, and this is why I love Le Syndicat, is because it's the idea that the more limitation you give yourself, the more, I can't do this, the more creative you become. Creativity through limitation is central. The same way that if I tell you for the rest of your life, you're a chef, right? For the rest of your life, you're only allowed to cook eggs, and that's it. Maybe the first 6 months, you're going to be like, okay, poached eggs, like, boiled egg, whatever. And then you're going to get bored. And that boredom, because you don't have any choice, this is where you're going to start doing some stuff with eggs that no one has ever thought about, because you don't have the choice. And creativity is something that, you have to express. Well, I mean, everyone expresses their creativity in a different way. I don't believe there are more or less creative people. I think that this is just something we like to say. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that the freedom you give yourself to express it is what differs. But again, here in Le Syndicat, it's only French product. It means that if I want to do something that resembles a Negroni, it's like, fuck, I need to find something that is going to have that bitter sweetness, because I'm not allowed to use, Campari. So what am I going to use, and how am I going to replicate this kind of flavor profile?
I really like what you're saying there. And there is a thing in Spanish, I don't know if it's in English, but la necesidad es la madre de la invención. I think it's very similar to what you're saying. The necessity makes you, is the mother of the creation, or the creation.
I think that's a quote by Einstein. I think maybe, yeah. I mean, I'm just, no one will know, so I'm bluffing maybe. But I think he rings something like this. Yes, it's definitely a quote by Einstein. Yes.
I'm going to translate quickly
yes,
for the guys. chicos, nada, estábamos hablando un poquito más bueno, de la manera en que Remy aplica su visión con respecto a la coctelería y de qué manera él. Bueno, hay una pregunta que es un poco cliché, que es como, ¿cómo puedes ser creativo? ¿De qué manera eres más creativo? Y todo esto. Y Remy me decía de que la creatividad, y estoy muy de acuerdo con él, la creatividad vive en todos. Cada uno la expresa en diferentes maneras, en diferentes momentos, pero todos somos creativos y tenemos la capacidad de ser creativos. Pero una cosa que me llama mucho la atención de lo que me acaba de explicar Remy es cuando tú tienes una serie de limitaciones. Si, por ejemplo, Remy me da un ejemplo muy concreto, me dice, si yo te digo que solamente puedes comer huevos durante el siguiente año y no tienes ningún otro elemento, bueno, probablemente los 3, 4 primeros semanas vas a cocinar todas las formas que ya conocemos de hacer un huevo frito, un huevo duro, un huevo poach, etcétera, etcétera, pero luego después de un tiempo te vas a aburrir de la repetición de los mismos procesos, al punto que finalmente vas a tener que volverte creativo para hacer más cosas con el mismo elemento que tienes, que es el huevo. Remy, por ejemplo, en uno de sus menús que hizo, trabajaba el concepto solamente de 2 sabores, pero él hacía la diferenciación. Decía, 2 sabores no quiere decir que necesariamente sean 2 elementos. En algunos casos pueden ser 3, 4, 5 o hasta 10 elementos, dependiendo de cómo los consideres. Cada ingrediente no es necesariamente un sabor, ¿vale? Esto es lo mismo que cuando defines el sabor de la sal o el sabor del azúcar, realmente no tienen un sabor. La sal es dulce y el azúcar la sal es salada y el azúcar es dulce. Sorry, I changed it. Uh, y obviamente eso no define el sabor como tal. Ahora, si tú tienes un azúcar que es un azúcar ahumada, por ejemplo, entonces ya estás generando un sabor. Ahí en esa cuota de complejidad es donde esto se expande. Él me hablaba de que tenía un menú donde trabajaba cosas muy sencillas, como por ejemplo, what was the 2 examples or any other examples that you had on these 2 kind of flavor combinations that you were doing? One that you gave me was cognac and green coffee, like half
Yeah.
roasted coffee, and the other one, or any other one?
There were loads. Sorry, can you hear noise? Because the guys are making noise.
Yeah, I can hear some noise.
Les gars, vous pouvez faire moins de bruit? Merci. Sorry. I'm behaving like the boss. I'm going to get thrown stuff out in 2 seconds.
Yes. You're going to do the dishes today, eh?
Exactly,
They're
yeah,
going to
I'm
make you
in
do the dishes.
trouble. The